Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we will present about the topic management of Baitulmal in Malaysia. We start with the table of contents. 1.0 is introduction, 2.0 is concept, 2.1 is definition of Baitulmal, 2.2 is history of Baitulmal, 3.0 is status of Baitulmal in legislation, 3.1 is the position of Baitulmal according to the enactments of the states, 4.0 is management of Baitulmal in Malaysia, 4.1 is sources of fund for Baitulmal, 4.2 is organization of Baitulmal in Malaysia, 4.3 is Baitulmal asset development management, 5.0 conclusion, and the last one is reference.
In the history of Islam, the concept of public finance has been a specialized field from the very beginning. In fact, the main focus in the academic activities of an Islamic country is to an institution that handles the entire management of public property known as the Baitulmal. In Malaysia, Baitulmal is one of the three categories of Sharia-compliant financial system that falls into the category of non-bank financial intermediaries.
2.1 is definition of Baitulmal. In the Dictionary of Islam, Baitulmal defined as national treasury, which is who receives the money collected from various sources by the state. According to Al-Amwal fi Dawlah, Al-Khilafah book, it defines Baitulmal as a competent authority that in charge of all states' revenues and all the expenditures for which the Muslims are eligible. It is also an institution that manages all the income and expenditure of an Islamic state. Second, Baitulmal has existed since the time of Prophet Muhammad SAW, the four caliphs, until the destruction of the Caliphate regime of Turkey in 1924. The existence of Baitulmal can be considered as an Islamic financial institution that combines both spiritual and physical elements which in line with the teachings of Islam. Next, according to the fiqh, Baitulmal is the finance officer of an Islamic state. It is the main institution for property and finance in Islamic state. All the property in Baitulmal have some beneficial to the citizens of Islamic state, but nobody can claim to be its owner. 2.2 is history of Baitulmal. During the reign of Prophet Muhammad SAW, the role of Baitulmal as an institution was less prominent. Islam was still underdeveloped and not widely spread is among the factors that happens, and the income and the management of the country were also not complicated and complex. The country's sources of income at this time was the spoils of war or through a peace treaty. This situation continued until the reign of Khalifah Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. In the 13th year of Hijrah, was established a department named Baitulmal. During the reign of Khalifah Umar al-Khattab radhiyallahu anhu, it is for manage the state treasury, and the treasury was established in Medina. The central government of Medina has placed several special officers in the territories under the jurisdiction of the Islamic government. After the reign of the four caliphs, the management of Baitulmal became increasingly systematic. This is because the source of Baitulmal property is increasing along with the increase of territories under the Islamic government. Baitulmal also accepts certain sources which are not limited to only Muslim societies, even including non-Muslims. The sources of Baitulmal such as the collection of Kharaj, Jizya, Fa'i, Ghanimah and Ushur. In addition, the sources of Baitulmal also from Zakat collection, inheritance without heirs, and property of unknown owners.
3.0 Status of Baitulmal in legislation. Baitulmal is established in accordance with the provision given by the Constitution and state law. Federal Constitution has stipulated that of the state, and the rest is responsibility of yang diperkan agung. Baitulmal allocated in Table 9, List 2 of Federal Constitution. 3.1 The position of Baitulmal according to the enactment of the states. Here there are 4 states which is Johor, Terengganu, Kelantan and Pahang. Each state has a different name for Baitulmal. In Johor they call Baitulmal as fund, but in Kelantan and Pahang they call with General Endowment Funds. Since the Baitulmal managed by State Islamic Religious Council, the sources of Baitulmal is different. For like in Johor, Baitulmal contains all money and property, whether movable or immovable. But in Terengganu, the fund of the Majlis including all property, investments and funds including the balance from the zakat funds. So that's some of the enactment of the Baitulmal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Muslimah binti Karmazni and I am from IC 1105BA. Okay, let's continue with 4.0, which is management of Baitulmal in Malaysia. 4.1 is sources of fund for Baitulmal. There are 6 sources fund of Baitulmal, which is first is zakat. Zakat is most important sources of revenue of Baitulmal because zakat is one of the pillars of Islam. Okay, Al-Quran and Hadith lay great emphasis on the duty of paying zakat so that the Muslim may show sympathy for each other. The Prophet Muhammad SAW was commanded to take a step further and fix a rate of the wealth and enforce its collection under Islamic State. Okay, the second one is ushur. Ushur is import duty which was collected only once a year from merchants who brought trade goods in the territory of Islamic State. However, Muslim will pay this duty at rate of zakat which is 2.5%, zini is 5% and non-Arab is 10%. The minimum value of merchandise was payable is 200 dirhams. Okay, the third one is jizya. Jizya is the conquered people of the book and non-Arab unbelievers acknowledge the authority of the Islamic State and agree to pay tax in return for the state protection of their life, property and honor, so that the tax is called jizya. Okay, the fourth is Haraj. Haraj is the land of the conquered territories left by reigning caliph in the possession of the faith unbelievers and lands of those countries which accept by the Islamic State by a convention of peace which are called Haraji. Okay, this was the policy adopted by Khalifah Umar in the case of land in Iraq and Syria. The Haraj from the lands become a permanent sources of Baitulmal. Okay, the fifth one is Wakaf. It was to transfer one's property to the ownership of Allah that is dedicated to the cause of Allah is called Wakaf in Islamic terminology. The income from this property is deposited in the Baitulmal. However, the ownership of the property remains with the person, with the owner. Okay, and the last one is Fa'id. Fa'id is the property taken without a fight. If defeated by the might of the Muslim army, the infidel forces run away without a fight or leaving behind property. Al-Quran declares the Fa'id revenue as the right of Baitulmal, and Fa'id is not divided among the soldiers of Islam. Okay.
So today I am going to present about Baitulmal organization in Malaysia. So let's start it. The Arabic word for Baitulmal, it is derived from two words, which is al-bait and al-mal. first is means home, and the second property is property that we find in our own way, or property that is treasure. Okay, Baitulmal is also means a house that receives a property and holds it for distribution to people. Baitulmal in Islam is type of financial institution for land. They are made up of different sources of income, including zakat, wakaf land, taxes, khorja, and other sources. Since we are not the utter owner of the world's resources, it is our duty or responsible to handle it as well as possible. Creating a productive society calls for ideal conception such that equitable and fair welfare is accomplished, especially the least economic causes of poverty in people's life. Okay. Kharaj means taxes are levied on land which Muslims open to war or conciliation, and which is not divided among Muslim combatants, but it used by its original owner as a national property. Jizya, in other words, it means the unbelievable who is in Muslim country, non-Muslim, that they live in the Muslim country. Ushur means tax on property that is belonging to the non-Muslim that who had converted to Islam without fighting and get a land of Islamic warriors originated the Caliph got wakaf or will. In other words, the application of land benefits for the welfare of Muslims. And the fifth one, property or kafarah. It is enforced on a person who perpetrates a sharak offense during Ramadan and performs zihar. The last one is property of zakat. In other words, a certain prices of property that is compulsory for certain classes, and this is one of the foundations of Islam. We go to the people who are eligible to receive Baitulmal. As we know, people who are eligible to receive zakat Baitulmal is a person from a poor family. The Negeri Sembilan Islamic Religious Council has offered its sense as an individual without a right and effort or have a property, but do not have enough distribution for themselves. Okay. Following, there are also unemployment, age or uzur, disabled to support their family, single mother who lost their place to depend on, woman who does not have any relative to give shelter or a nafkah to them. They are the people that is qualified to receive zakat via Baitulmal under the poor category. Okay, and the next, the physical attributes of Baitulmal's poor category are housewife that lost their places, left husband unplacated, wait for divorce in a court, husband is approaching jail at the same time, husband who are disability and need some support to support their life, they eligible and qualified to receive zakat. Okay, unable person like disabled person who are on a wheelchair is also qualified to receive it, because zakat from Baitulmal is helping us to make our life become easier. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
We continue with Baitulmal Asset Development Management. As we know, Baitulmal Asset is received from various financial property sources such as zakat, jizya, kharaj, wakaf, and others. The efficiency of zakat administration will assist the management of in UK
2018 estimate Baitulmal for various projects. Baitulmal in Malaysia has made a significant contribution towards the welfare of citizens. Apart from the collection and distribution of zakat, the role of Baitulmal is now extended for economic growth as well as the expansion of the education sector. There are 4 usages of Baitulmal property. The first one is development of infrastructure. It is consisting of 2 kinds, namely external and internal. External infrastructure focus on the aspect of physical, meanwhile internal infrastructure focus on the acceptance of knowledge as a tool to the development progress. The second one is focus on useful project. By developing project using Baitulmal property can return back benefit to the people. It doesn't matter whether the development managed by public or private sector as long as it gives a big impact and benefit to the people and nation. The third one is the need in investment sector. Investment project which have a little interest by private sector and getting little profit in future, but it is also give a lot of benefit to the people, should be considered to carry out by government using fund from Baitulmal. For example, the agriculture sector for production and so on. And then lastly, fund for social justice. The fund derived from collection of zakat in the Baitulmal can be used as a tool to guarantee social justice of the society. 3 action needs to be emphasized in development. First is launch grants. The central governments provide grants or allocation appropriate to the needs of the Baitulmal at an early stage is really capable in carrying out development projects that are identified and can be produced. Second, resource expansion. The allocation of state and central government lands to the Baitulmal is needed at an early stage to form the basis of development projects that can be identified as generating significant revenue to the Baitulmal. And third, integrated development. The federal and the state government as well as the related agencies should cooperate fully in carrying out Baitulmal economic activities. To conclude that, institution of Baitulmal was introduced to control the country financial through collecting and distribution towards social Islamic development. The use of Baitulmal funds is widespread and covers a wide range public benefits and welfare as well as the physical development of the country. As Baitulmal funds, asset and property can minimize people's burden, the development of many projects must be enhanced in our country. That's all. Thank you.